Hi, and welcome to On the Spot. My name is Ronnie Wiley. To my left is owner-president. That's the correct title, isn't it?
Yep, president.
Or just president. The president of Fortified Buildings, LLC, Levi Aberle. Levi, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you.
So you, not a Connersville native. We've got you here, but you're a constructive builder from Colorado originally. So tell us what got you into construction.
So what got me into construction was basically an opportunity. Moving from Colorado to Connersville, I saw an opportunity and a demand for pole barns and barn dominiums.
Yeah.
And, forgive me for wanting to capitalize on the fact that people want barn dominiums.
You're right.
Barn dominiums are, I don't want to call them a fad because I hope they're here to stay, but they are, they're a completely different, unique situation that people want to acquire than their run-of-the-mill, normal built house.
It's funny you mentioned the barn dominiums and a fad because that sounds so much like it, like barn dominium, condominium, and I have, when I drove on 44 by your house, which is the White House on 44, the big barn dominium. When I tell people that that's where your business is, oh, I've seen that house plan. That's a barn dominium?
Yeah.
So tell us about how barn dominiums came to be.
Well, essentially the term, as I understand it, comes from people that converted their barns into apartments. And so they called them, barn dominiums. It was a spin-off of a condominium. So that's kind of how the term came about. Well, when people started realizing that they were economical and really efficient style of construction, then they started blowing up because people they kind of liked that that rural setting look of a home. And it looks like a barn, but it's got this really nice porch on it. It's really easy to put a porch on it and all that kind of stuff. So the barn dominiums kind of blew up in that sense. Where did it blow up at first? Well, I don't know originally where they started, but I'm pretty sure they were back here on the east side of the country. They're starting to get really, really popular on the northwestern states. Montana, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho. But the term barn dominium can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So I look at barn dominium as more of a style and a construction technique. And a lot of people think of a barn dominium as strictly a cosmetic style. But to me, it doesn't really classify as a barn dominium unless it's a post frame structure. And post framing is a lot different than your traditional stick framed home. And with that being said, the barn dominiums have inherent energy and green aspects to them. For one, just given the style of construction, are super, super well insulated. You have a very small thermal bridge from the interior and exterior and vice versa, given the style of construction. When you convert barns into homes, you don't really reap the benefits of the energy efficiency. But a lot of it has to do with the radiant floor that we put in the barn dominiums as well from the beginning.
And that's by design.
That's by design because the radiant floor is a thermal mass. It's a heat sink. So once it's warm and operating during the summer, it just idles all winter long. And tens of thousands of pounds of concrete that are heated to 95 degrees, it just keeps the house at a very comfortable temperature. So not only do you benefit from the energy efficiency and the construction of the walls, but you also have this inherent efficient way to heat the home through the radiant floor. But yeah, it's super impressive when you start looking at it like that.
I'm sure the savings on the cost of your energy bill is probably pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And I've got we're actually getting ready to publicize a few of the barn dominiums that we built. We're getting ready to publicize the energy consumption for those homes through the winter and through the summer, so that people can see how energy efficient they are. Additionally, there's a green aspect to them, because in a lot of cases we don't have to sheathe the roof and sheathe the outside of the structure, which saves in a lot of materials. So we're actually not buying forestry products to put into it when we can use steel that is either recycled or is recyclable. So there's kind of a greener aspect on the environment to just putting up a barn dominium.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, again, when you're thinking about how the environment has changed, and people talk about climate change and they talk about wanting to save the environment, when you're building a home, that is very much being responsible environmentally.
Absolutely. I think it's something that everybody should consider, especially when it comes down to your energy bill. Being less dependent on fuels and electricity, which is also run on fuels, needs to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. And they look so cool.
Yeah, they do.
They look so cool.
They do.
And when you're designing them, I think one time we had talked about somebody had come to you with a napkin drawing. So, I mean, the sky's the limit on your imagination with a barn dominium.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd like to believe that we pioneered the first 45-degree pole barn style construction on a post frame. And my showcase home here in Connorsville demonstrates that. Basically what we've done is we've taken out a 90-degree corner and we've added a 45-degree corner, which we've never seen done in a barn dominium setting.
Wow.
So,
what gave you that idea?
Basically for the architecture. We wanted to add a character to the side of the home, which is west facing, which is on the frontage of 44. That wasn't just a straight flat wall across there, and that's actually right where my kitchen sink sits, and the cabinets all 45 around that bay, and we carry it across the architecture with the porch as well. So the option of coming to us with a napkin drawing is, like you said, the sky's the limit, because there's not much we can't do with a post frame construction. Now, there's a lot of things we can't do, but there's, how do you want to say, you can build 2 stories. You can build 3 stories with a post frame structure. Most people don't think of that kind of stuff because they're used to the tried and true methods of traditional stick framing, where you just stack everything up. But to expand a little bit on the styles of construction, some people have a misconception that, I hear it all the time, a potential client or a lead will call me and they'll say, I want a steel building. And it took me a couple years to start understanding what these people were talking about. They say, I want a steel building and turn it into a barn dominium. And, we just want to start with the steel structure, and then we might, finish it out later on. But they're talking about the siding and the roof.
Right.
But to me as a builder, I'm thinking, a steel framed building. And which is also a challenge of itself. Yes, we can do a steel frame structure, but the most banks don't allow that. Most FHA loans won't allow that. It's got to be built to the tried and true methods that fit within the building codes.
And why is that?
I don't necessarily understand why. I think it's
well, when you're thinking about when you mentioned about the environmental, the recycle, the environmental benefits of a steel, you would think that would be something that they'd want to jump on.
You would think that politically it would be a move in the right direction as a society. But even with steel framed, I mean, that's all recyclable material. You remelt steel 1 million times and you still have steel. But I honestly don't know why that there's certain limitations on what you can build. At the end of the day, anything can be approved as long as it's approved through an engineer and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to your run-of-the-mill construction loan, whether it be FHA or conventional or something like that, they tend to frown on the things that are experimental. I guess that's probably the best way to describe it.
Is the barndominium at the experimental stage? Because we don't see
enough
of it.
I think we're experimenting as a consumer.
Okay.
But I don't think we're experimenting as
a builder,
as a structure.
Structure. Okay.
So I really see a huge benefit in this, and there's to expand on the sky's the limit thing. There's no reason why somebody with, in town or, even outside of town that wants a, 800 square foot or 900 square foot home that's really efficient shouldn't consider this style of construction. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's wise at all, because the smaller it is, the more efficient it is to heat and cool, or the cheaper, I should say.
Yeah.
But people compete with the status quo of stick framing. Mm-hmm. The thing is with stick framing is you have so much thermal bridging. Yeah. Every stud is connected to the outside, and you get a transfer of energy across those studs. Unless you want to pay for, extremely insulated home, which they typically will wrap with a foam product and then cover it up with siding after that. Right. But inherently in the barndominiums, in the girt systems that we use, they're just, the thermal bridging is 14 inches. Wow. I mean, you can't find an insulated wall that's that thick without. Additionally, our preferred method of insulating is blown in cellulose or dense packed cellulose. The great thing about that is cellulose is 99% recycled material anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not only more green in that aspect, it's your cheapest option of heat or insulating, and it's also really flame retardant. Mm-hmm. You can't burn it unless you put a blowtorch to it. It won't. Right. And then it's also because of the chemicals and acids that are in the cellulose insulation. There's they're naturally what do you want to say, an insecticide, insect repellent.
Yeah, that's always good.
The cellulose we use today is not the same stuff we used in the 70s. It's completely different. And the recycled newspapers and everything that go into it just makes a really dense package inside your wall. And when it's packed in there, a lot of people get concerned about the settling of it, but when it's packed, it doesn't settle. I mean, if it settles, man, I've never seen it.
Right. Yeah. So this, if you're looking for an environmentally friendly home, barndominium is the first place you'd
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And to expand on it even further, the foundation itself, because we use a post system that carries the roof line and oftentimes the second floor of a barndominium, if there's a second floor. The posts support the roof system, which carries the load of the whole structure. So we don't have the mass of headers that are a huge thermal bridge in traditional framing. You have headers above every window and door that are carrying the load of the roof. This uses a post system with a beam at the top that carries the load from the roof. So you simplify your windows and your doors. And then additionally, you can carry all the weight load of the roof down to a single point in the earth as your foundation. So you don't have the need for a full stem wall all the way around. Unless the situation arises where somebody does actually want a crawl space, or if they want a basement on their barndominium, then obviously you got to go back to that full foundation of concrete. But concrete is a raw resource, a raw material. I mean, it's got to be mined, it's got to be refined, and then it's got to be transported and it's go through the mills and all that stuff too, and then delivered to the project. So less consumption of concrete, that's also better.
Right.
Now, I can't say that we don't necessarily use the same amount of concrete because we typically have concrete floors.
Right.
But I would say overall it is a savings, because we get people that want crawl spaces, or they want full foundation on a regular house, and but the energy efficiency comes from, in my opinion, a good checks and balance of the raw resources coming in that we heat, and we use that mass to heat the home in the wintertime.
And most of the floor plans, there's a lot of openness in a barn dominium.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest characteristic that appeals to a lot of people, is the diversity of what you can do with your open space. Going back to the people that want to start with just the shell, they don't even have to have a floor plan before they start. They can get it put up, walk inside of it, and start throwing chalk lines on the ground and figure out what they want to do for an area.
Now, does that change all the utilities, or they haven't been laid yet?
The utilities are there, so that has to be thought of ahead of time, unless the concrete's not poured. So we've done concrete floors before the structure goes up, and we've done concrete floors after the structure is up. What you're really set on is your locations for your toilet fixtures.
Right.
That is the biggest thing, because your toilets are pretty much immovable. Right. Your kitchen sinks can jog through a wall or something like that a few feet. That's not really a big deal. But your toilet has to sit where your toilet sits, because it's a pipe coming out of the concrete. Yeah. And given the appeal with today's technology and acid stainings, epoxies and polyureas and polyspartics, floor coverings, you can do anything with concrete. You can marbleize it, you can color it. Wow. I mean, you can even order colored concrete from the plant.
Really?
And, you can get different colors right from the concrete plant. Wow. Additionally, if you don't like it, you can always cover it with an epoxy. You can. And the nice thing about the barn dominium is you don't have to have concrete. Right. But we recommend the concrete as a thermal mass, your heating source. Yeah. You can cover it up with carpet. You can cover it with LVP or tile or anything like that.
And so reap the benefits of the energy efficiency of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's go back to when you were a kid. And you grew up in a construction family, correct?
Yep.
And so you like, this is all you've ever known?
Yeah, I in addition to some other things.
Yeah.
A little bit about my background. I actually grew up in a family business that was non-construction related. Mm-hmm. And I think that the industry that we were in opened an opportunity for me to understand construction very well. It became so natural just because of my dad's engineering capabilities. So my dad and my family, we had a foundry and pattern shop where my dad designed a lot of impossible parts for a lot of different industries. Mostly, the aerospace and the pumping industries.
Oh, yeah.
So they would come to my dad with a problem, and my dad would be able to solve it through a physically made part in a craftsmanship that is a lost trade today.
Right. Sure is.
But knowing what he did and seeing how the process of manufacturing worked really set the wheels in motion in my head to understand the process of things and understand that, structurally, these are the types of things you have to consider to do anything correctly.
Right.
So my dad's business actually went out of business around the 2008 recession. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people's lives changed around that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from there, I went to work in construction, and everything made perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
In fact, managing construction was so simple to me. Yeah. Just out of high school, when the business went under, it was really easy to pick up something and run with it. But my dad also had, during that whole time, he did landscaping and construction on the side. Yeah. So from the time I could walk, I was helping my dad put a 3,000 square foot addition to the house. Wow. And seeing that go up, and my dad was not the type to underkill anything.
Right.
I mean, everything was overkill.
Yeah.
And
So
just
grand jobs.
Yeah. I mean, he had his kids out there digging the foundation for that garage addition by hand.
Wow.
I mean,
so were like the toys at Christmas? Did you want like Lincoln Log toys?
oh
and
no,
stuff,
it was no Lincoln Logs.
Get away from all that.
If it was Lincoln Logs, we made them in the shop.
Yeah, you made your own toys.
Yeah, we made our own toys.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But he had, it was always tools. It was always flashlights. It was always Leatherman or a pocket knife.
Yeah.
That was our childhood Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
But
and it's amazing how, I mean, the skills that you have are skills that are definitely needed, and it's almost a dying breed.
It is. If I may expand on what you just said a little bit, the weird thing is that I'm seeing a drop out of the trades. Your carpenters,
absolutely,
your plumbers, electricians, your roofers, insulators. They're kind of phasing out a little bit. I don't think that this generation or my generation had the interest in getting into the physical labor that my dad's generation had. And I think that as those people are retiring out of their successful businesses or non-successful, but they're retiring out or they're working themselves to the end, that there's not the same ratio of people coming in. I think Mike Rowe did a series about the dying of the trades. And I really do fear for the average consumer in the next decade or so, because as these trades become phased out, costs to do things
are going to go way up.
Simply just replacing a water heater, or having your HVAC maintenance, it's going to start going up, and it's just that's supply and demand, that's economics.
Sure.
But a lot of my generation, they went to school and got degrees and went to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, degrees that almost seem like they're useless.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel like mine is at times.
Yeah.
Except now. But I will say this: I hope that this barndominium fad will turn into people being more interested in the building process.
I think this needs to be something that is expanded upon, not just for my business, but for other construction companies out there, because the more we can push this information to the consumer, I think that the stronger things can lean towards a healthier environment overall. I'm extremely passionate about the barndominiums because of what they do. Check our website here in a couple of months when we publish these numbers about the energy consumption. Don't quote me to this, but just as an example, my house there on Connorsville, on 44, that house is over 3,200 square feet, okay? And it costs less than $100 a month to heat.
That's unbelievable.
So we run a tankless water heater that heats the floor and is also the same source of water heat for our domestic water. So as it recycles, it just heats up the concrete, and it's just comfortable all year long.
Amazing.
And then additionally, when we turn it off, the ground is cool. The dog loves the ground in the summertime. Hey, she comes in and just lays down and lays on the floor because it's so cool, because it's earth temperature.
Right.
But that's just one aspect to the efficiency of it. Now, in the summer months, it's the exact opposite. We see about $100 increase in our electrical bill to cool the house in the summer.
Yeah.
And it's just too efficient to put into words. I mean, talk about dependency on your utility bill.
Yeah.
And here's the great thing is if my bill, so I run on natural gas. A lot of these barn dominiums, they're getting built with propane.
Right.
And I would encourage fuel source over electrical heat, especially for the efficiency of the combustion on these new tankless water heaters. But kind of lost where I was going with that, but the efficiency, the natural gas.
Yeah, natural gas.
So if I ever lose power at my place, I could put in a backup generator, but I don't need to. I can run an extension cord from my little Honda generator inside and plug in my water heater with 110, and my house won't lose heat because the whole system runs off of 110, and the natural gas doesn't lose pressure in an outage. So all the water heater has to do is just turn on, and it cycles.
So when you started with, did you know that the benefits of the energy efficiency?
Not really. Not until I actually tried it.
And you're saying the summertime it actually goes up a little bit, or?
Not the gas. The gas bill in the summertime is like $15, $20.
That's amazing.
For our showers, and we have a natural gas stove and oven. But the electrical goes up because we're running the air conditioner in the summertime.
Yeah. But wow, it's still the winter time.
And it's two stories. I mean, it's two stories.
That's a big house.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I mentioned that White House on 44, it looks like people know it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I run into that all the time. Like, oh, you come from Colorado? I'm like, I built that White House up on 44, and they're like, oh yeah, I know exactly where you're.
Yeah, I remember when that was being built, and I was driving from Rushville, and it was nighttime, and the sun was going down, and I thought, gosh, I'd hate to be. That's because the sun's going to be right. And then I thought, gosh, that'd be beautiful.
It's actually beautiful.
That'd be beautiful.
It's perfect. And we're just up at the tree line. We can see
right, exactly.
The sunset.
Yeah, because as I was driving, I thought, boy, he's probably blocked by the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that'd be beautiful.
And it's actually quieter where we put the house closer to the highway than further. We were originally going to put it on the north side of that of the property.
Yeah.
But with the direction of the highway and the rolling hill, we actually eliminated 50% of our noise by putting it right there. Versus if we went north, we had sound coming both directions.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it was kind of an experiment on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to expand on that house, I went on a limb to build that house. I incredibly enough built that house almost single-handedly by myself.
Wow.
I had the help.
Did your wife design it?
My wife had her hand in how she wanted it laid out.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we still have some plans to finish it. And
there's still more to do.
Yep. There's still a little bit to do. I mean, we've still got some interior trim painting to do and buttoning up some things.
Yeah.
She's probably going to yell at me, for mentioning this, but the master closet's never been shelved.
Oh,
so
wow.
we need to get that done. But
so
all in time.
I need to do this.
Yeah. On the trying to manage the house and run a business is
kind of tough.
Yeah, having the time to do those things.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get some time.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. How do people get a hold of you?
FortifiedBuildingsLLC.com. And my phone number is an out-of-state area code.
Yeah.
But
he's in state.
Yeah, I am in state. I'm kind of known as the out-of-stater, the guy from out of state. The 303-563-9374. That's my phone number, and that will get directly to me. If I don't answer, leave a voicemail. We'll call you right back. Or it's my name, Levi Aberle @gmail.com.
Yeah, and Facebook.
Yep.
Fortified Buildings LLC on Facebook. Check this guy out if you want a barn dominium. It's not just a fad, it's the way to go. Check him out, Levi. God bless you, buddy.
Thank you,
Thanks for
sir.
being on the spot, and we'll
Appreciate
see you next month.